everyone, and thanks for joining us. This is the Rochester Press Box with Bill Pucko with Tariq Spence, Pat Duffy. Hello, guys.
How's it going?
Look good, Pat. What are you wearing here today?
Oh, this is one of my favorites. Back in '99, Reebok made different color, like opposite color jerseys for football teams. So it's the Eric Moulds red Buffalo Bills jersey that was never worn on the field.
Man, I thought for an instant that was 90. Who's 90?
No, 90 would have been Phil Hansen back then.
Yeah. Well, Phil Hansen's in my unfinished business. Well, that's what I thought. Well, I knew it too. Not just him. Yeah, 90. He was one of the great Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. Thank you.
Wow.
So, look, Tariq, the TV deals for the NFL are coming due the next 2 years. And off the stuff we've seen dealing with the pandemic, we got Monday night doubleheaders, we've had Tuesday and Wednesday night games and all the rest. I think these TV negotiations could be really, really interesting as to the future of professional football in America.
Absolutely. I mean, you throw in the tie the fact that people like to bet on the NFL, the fact that they would get action basically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe Saturday, maybe Sunday as well. It expands the options. Plus, I'm not really worried about the ratings. I looked up the NFL ratings, 6% drop so far in the middle of this year. That also goes down during a presidential cycle. So the ratings go down in the NFL during a presidential cycle as well. So this isn't a true testament of what the NFL ratings are compared to other sports like the NBA, Major League Baseball, and NHL, who took a really big hit from the pandemic. The NFL is staying fast and true and strong. I think they're going to get some buku bucks over the next few years and extend those deals.
Because I guess my point was that I thought at some point, especially with Thursday Night Football, when it started, there was a matter of oversaturation of the NFL. And I felt it then. I don't feel that anymore. I look forward to Tuesday Night Football.
I think we're past it, but I also think it has to do with the way that we're consuming football. I mean, look, the three of us are going to sit down and watch an entire football game. The younger generation, as I say that as a 34-year-old man, I don't know how much they are, right? They're getting their highlights from social media. So if there is something to seed those highlights and give you 15 to 20, maybe 30 minutes a night, every night to watch football, I think that benefits the NFL. And I think, yes, in a matter of 10 years, it's changed from we've had too much football to you cannot have too much football based on how little we're consuming it at a time.
Well, I want to throw in the fact that not only they take that the way the young people follow football and the way they do it sort of on these sort of Instagram feeds or TikTok or whatever it is that they watch it on, that's fine. The other end of this, too, is that the NFL wants to actually add more games and get to an 18th and 19th season game season. And I think this is the way you do that. I mean, you're not going to be able to play that much football in an expanded schedule. You're going to have to expand it a little bit more. That means a little bit more games. That means rest time for players. Players will get injured. So it could actually push the NFL to what I've always wanted, the Super Bowl to be the day before President's Day, so the nation takes the day off the next day and doesn't try to go to work or pretend that they're sick.
Yeah, and it falls in the ratings periods. I'd be willing to do this schedule if they say this is too complex to do. But give the NFL teams 2 byes instead of 1. Don't expand the season to an extra game. And then start placing these midweek days based on who had those byes. There's always a steady supply of teams that have had a bye to pick from and fill those spots. So you're not screwing a team. I would make it a rule. I said 5 days between games. And it says if we could do that in negotiations, we'll give you 5 days between games. We'll make the schedule work. I mean, at least 5. And then lay it out. What do you think, Pat?
I mean, no, that works for me. I don't hate it as long as there's not more than 2 or 3 weeks where teams are going to have 5 games between games, right? You talk to these players, it's like being in a car accident and then having to get ready for being in another car accident all over again. But I'll go even further, Bill. How about this? Last week, Steelers, Ravens have to play at 3:45 in the middle of the week. I think that we're on the precipice of seeing that on a regular basis. The NFL is the only league that doesn't play regular midweek games. The NHL does it for special occasions. The NBA does it for special occasions and not just holidays. Major League Baseball does it all the time. You still have 4 in 10 Americans that are working from home right now. That could be permanent moving forward, even when we're done. I think that a Bills game at 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon makes a heck of a lot of sense when you consider how diehard Bills fans and other franchises are. They'd take days off. They'd go to the stadium. You got yourself every single day, every single time period during the week, NFL football.
Tariq, what do you think about the streaming issue? I mean, are we going to lose games to services you're going to have to pay for?
I think that's just the way it goes. It's really, you're ushering in a new field, a new generation of people who watch football differently. So there's a lot of people that watch television by streaming. They don't even have cable anymore. Nothing wrong with cable, but I'm just saying this is how they consume it. They watch it on their phones. They watch it on their iPads. They watch it when they're out and about somewhere with data services that they use. So people consume the sport a different way nowadays. I'm a little bit concerned about the NFL going into Friday and or Saturday. I always viewed Friday as high school football and Saturday as college football. I would leave those two alone going forward. But how they watch football, how young people watch football going forward is the key here. So those streaming services are going to be huge, and they're going to be a big plug for the NFL.
And again, the TV contracts come due after next season and after the season after that, 2021 and 22. We're at the Rochester Press Box talking Buffalo Bills next.
Original Bay Goodman Pizza, located on the corner of North Winton at Browncroft. There are 3 ways to get the original Bay and Goodman delivery. Go to baygoodman.com.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box talking Buffalo Bills. Pat, the whole complexion of this Pittsburgh Steelers game changed radically this week, didn't it?
Isn't that interesting how that happens? Look, man, every smart bearded man that does a show with you guys has been saying this is around the time where undefeated teams start to go. And the Steelers are a very odd undefeated team because they're a throwback undefeated team. As of right now, the Steelers are 3rd in the league for the amount of punts they take. They punt a ton. They don't have a deep passing game. Their running game isn't fantastic. They're all about short, mid-range throws. Now, they're also really good at forcing other teams to punt. 2nd in the league on top of that. What I'm getting at is the Steelers do a couple of things well. They don't do anything great. And Washington exposed the fact that this team is beatable. Shake your head. You shake your head at me all you want. I don't even care. I believe that the Bills can get this done. I believe that the Steelers team is being led by a man who is starting to feel his age this late in the season. And I don't think that the Steelers are anywhere close to what we assumed they were 2, 3, 4 weeks ago.
I'm not shaking my head in disagreement. I'm shaking my head in the sense that the fact that I think the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is terrible. Mike Tomlin ripped into their defense 2 games ago. I think that this Pittsburgh Steelers team is good at 11-1. I just don't know whether or not they can heal in enough time during the playoffs. The Buffalo Bills offense will run all over the Pittsburgh Steelers defense this week, and I'm very confident, especially after what I saw last week from the Buffalo Bills. So I'm pretty confident the Bills will win this game. Steeler Nation is not going to be happy with me at all this week. So on Monday, I might get it on my own radio show, but that's fine. I just believe in the Bills offense more than I believe in Pittsburgh's defense.
So, Pat, in terms of the approach to this game, you know, how the Bills set up for this, wouldn't you have rather had Pittsburgh be undefeated, both for interest and the way the game's set up?
Well, I mean, look, yes. I mean, any normal season, yes, absolutely. But right now, this will be the Steelers' 3rd game in 12 days. So, yes, I'll take them there. Also, because the Steelers lost last week, all of a sudden, this Bills team that was worried about falling into the 4th playoff spot in the AFC, maybe even a wild card, that 2nd seed is now in play. You could be playing the worst playoff team in the first week of the playoffs there. No, I mean, for clout purposes, national TV, fine, whatever. That's all well and good. No, I want that loss last week. I want that 2nd seed in the AFC.
Drake, the line I saw had the Bills favored by 1.5. Pick the game for me.
I say the Bills by 7.
Ooh, that's okay. You're more confident than I am. I'm going to take the Bills by a field goal, maybe a little bit less, but I think they do beat them by 1.5.
All right, I think Pittsburgh bounces back, but I was wrong last week, so I'm going to stay on this run.
Super wrong last week, but who was going to bring that up, Bill? Who's going to bring that up?
I did.
That is the greatest.
That's what a responsible host does. All right, guys. Hey, we have the Rochester Press Box. Like it or not, is next. Here's the Press Box trivia question, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
All of these things show Josh Allen has a strive for greatness inside of him.
Falcon Around with Carl Falk. New episodes every Tuesday on Rock Sports Now.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Are you facing criminal charges from a DWI and feel that you never imagined it could happen to you? Contact attorneys with years of experience as prosecutors and defenders. Contact Ganguly Brothers Law today for a free consultation. You can put your trust in us.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. This segment of the Press Box, like it or not, brought to you by Ganguly Brothers Law Firm. Attorneys with experience defending the accused. Don't go unprepared. Contact Ganguly Brothers Law today. Tariq, like it or not, Coastal Carolina's football team.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. They wanted it. They pushed for that game. BYU said, we want to play. Coastal Carolina said, we want to play. Everybody loves David versus Goliath. But when David takes on David, it proves only one thing, that you can only have one David in David versus Goliath. So I love the fact that this team can do that. I hope they expand the college football just to let one of these teams that believes they should be there, like a BYU, like a Coastal Carolina, just to play them, to let them know where they are at that level. Everybody looks forward to the Appalachian State game against Michigan years ago where they upset them. Everybody loves that stuff. It works for college basketball. It's why we watch the tournament so much. So hopefully college football will do that so that these small schools get a chance to play. And then we get the cream of the crop.
No, I'm just going to say, look, I get ideally what you're saying here, right? Like, let's see if these small schools can compete with the big boys and expand the playoffs a little bit. Hey, spoiler alert, they can't. Like, these BYU Coastal Carolina games are great. Also, you would have thought that the Mormons would know the story of David versus Goliath a little better and avoided that game. But the point I'm getting at here is all you're doing is wasting time and wasting precious resources by including a Coastal Carolina or a Cincinnati or a team like that in the playoffs, because they just simply can't compete with your Ohio States, with your Alabamas, with your Notre Dames, with your Clemson, right? Like, it's a fun story. Let them play during the season. There's a reason why we keep bringing back Appalachian State versus Michigan, because it happens like once every 25 years. I don't know if I want to waste my time.
All right, one quick note. One, there's a football team called Boise State, which did that, basically built their program over upsetting people. And there's one in college basketball called Gonzaga, which came out of nowhere and basically Cinderella'd their way to being a top program over the last 20 years.
But you're aging yourself. Gonzaga isn't a mid-major anymore. Gonzaga is a powerhouse team, powerhouse college that sells a bunch of merchandise and has, first, second, third overall picks. Yes, every once in a while it happens. But for every Gonzaga, there's a UNLV. For every Boise State, there's a team like Rutgers, right? Like, this happens over and over again. It's almost always unsustainable.
See, but I thought when Brigham Young played Coastal Carolina, you knew the winner of that wasn't going to get into the playoff or really make any hay at all. But it was two undefeated teams. It was a compelling matchup that was thrown together in 2 days and produced a marvelous football game. I don't think you have to be as good as Ohio State to produce a good product that people are going to sit down, watch, and enjoy. Pat, like it or not, the state of college basketball right now.
What are they going to do? Like, this is going to be impossible, right? You're going to see the NBA and the NHL struggle. You're watching the NFL, which has resources beyond our imagination, having a hard time put stuff on. College football, where most of the money in these schools go, having a huge hard time. There's no way. There is no way that they get this done. There's no way they get to the tournament. And do you even want to watch a tournament where either they let everybody in or they can only have the 20 top teams to keep everybody safe? I mean, play it, I guess, until you can't and hope that nobody gets really sick or hurt, but I'm not counting on it.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of disappointed. I think, with all of these sports and COVID-19, I think they all thought to themselves, by the time our season starts, it'll be over with. And NFL ran into that. Oh, we're in the offseason. Don't worry about it. This will all be over with by the time the season comes around. Didn't work. College basketball didn't work. So I think there's this feeling of a sense of, don't worry, our season's not in jeopardy, but your season is in jeopardy because we still have COVID-19. So no matter what you do going forward, this isn't going to be safe until we get a vaccine.
None of it's making sense. Duke is losing, Kentucky's losing, Syracuse is unwatchable. There's nothing there right now. I hope they can recover, but I wonder if this doesn't have a lasting impact on the whole sport of college basketball. This is the Rochester Press Box, like it or not, brought to you by Ganguly Brothers. Unfinished Business. Next.
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. McArdle's is open 7 days a week with dining available indoors and out, takeout and delivery. Come home to McArdle's.
And now to Eichel. He floated one.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. This is the Rochester Press Box. It's time for Unfinished Business. Pat Duffy, go.
If you haven't caught any Syracuse basketball games yet this season, and you just look at their record, they're 3-1, and you think they're going to be okay. If you have watched any Syracuse basketball this season, you know what I'm about to say. Syracuse lost to Rutgers earlier this week for the first time since 2003. Rutgers isn't a bad team. Syracuse almost lost to Bryant University in their opening game on their home court. And it wasn't because Bryant was getting lucky. Sure, they got hot, but they were taking any shot they wanted inside Jim Boeheim's vaunted zone. And Boeheim's excuse was, well, half the team tested positive for the virus when he shouldn't have played this game. Look, I don't know how the season's going to shake out. I'm predicting it's not going to be great for the Orange. And I don't know who's going to have this conversation first, so I'll be the one to do it. At what point do you have to tell Jim Boeheim, the legend that made Syracuse what it is, it's time for you to go? It was no secret that Mike Hopkins, a former assistant now in Washington, was the one that was able to recruit for Boeheim. You had some great players coming through because Hopkins would go into their living room and convince them to come. Well, in the last couple of years, not only are you not getting the players that you once got, you're not even getting the players in your backyard. You've got 2 NBA players that are definitely from Rochester in the NBA this season. You've got a couple more coming. And you know what? None of them went to Syracuse. How do you tell a guy that built you to what you are, we don't think you should be around here anymore?
So Des Bryant wanted to do one thing, get back to the NFL and show people he could still play. And he did just that with the Baltimore Ravens. The problem with that is that he had a great matchup this week against his old team, the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, sweet revenge, and how much we love it. The issue was just before the game started, he tested positive for COVID-19. Now, hey, let me just say this. He did go to Twitter, very upset about it, kind of wanted to cancel the rest of his season. But the Baltimore Ravens did the exact thing they were supposed to do. Get somebody off the field that was COVID positive to make sure that they didn't infect any other players or anybody else, even the team that Des Bryant wanted to beat so badly. Of course, the Ravens go on and beat the hapless Dallas Cowboys right about now during their season. But the real issue here isn't so much the fact that Des Bryant didn't get a chance to play. It's that he really wanted the revenge. Des Bryant, you're back in the NFL. You're playing football. I'm happy for you. That was one that was taken away from you. You might not get another chance if you decide to quit the game. But if you do decide to stay with the Baltimore Ravens, you got a chance to possibly get more at the end of this season. Get healthy, get right, get back to your team, and be about the team. And understand that that decision wasn't about you. It was about Baltimore and Dallas.
Phil Hansen, number 90. We talked about him earlier. He was one of the great Buffalo Bills. He spent 11 years in the Buffalo Bills uniform. My lasting memory of Hansen is his trudging around the track, around the football field at St. John Fisher College at the Bills training camp, running a penalty lap, jogging a penalty lap for having jumped off sides in a scrimmage. That was Phil's last year. My lasting memory of his, 2001 it was. It was Gregg Williams first as the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. And that was Gregg's way of letting everyone know that he was in charge. Send Phil Hansen out at a penalty lap in front of a stadium full of fans. Williams, that was the only head coaching job that he got. He lasted 3 years in Buffalo, and that was 2003. I can't believe it was 17 years ago. It was still the only head coaching job he's managed in the NFL, and I can't imagine him getting another one right now. He still managed to stay in the news. He was the architect of Bountygate with the New Orleans Saints, and they got suspended a year for that. And most recently, he got fired as the New York Jets defensive coordinator. He called an all-out blitz in a game the Jets had all but one against the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders on the last play of the game scored with 5 seconds left on a 46-yard touchdown pass where everyone was rushing the quarterback, and it left Henry Ruggs open, and the Jets lost. That cost Williams his job. The call was universally panned, but in fact, it was brilliant. Williams, of course, paid for it with his job, but what it did is it kept the New York Jets winless and, of course, in first place in the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes, a full game ahead of the one-winning Jacksonville Jaguars. Williams paid for that call with his job, but someday he'll be regarded as a hero by the New York Jets. That's Unfinished Business, and that's our show. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
I think he should get a Christmas present. The Jets should send him a Christmas present, really, if they get the number one pick. No, I'm dead serious. I think he did it on purpose. He gets out of there. gets to spend Christmas with his family, still gets paid, and the Jets get the number 1 pick overall. Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. Pat, thank you very much.
He will have been on 2 0-16 teams, by the way, real quick. He was a defensive coordinator in Cleveland when they did it, too. How about that statistic for being one of the worst coordinators of all time?
He got fired before they go 0-16. You got fired.
Whatever. Yeah, great job.
Put that on your resume. Gentlemen, thank you. Thank you very much for watching us, and we'll see you again next week with the Rochester Press Box.